Okay, hope you can hear me all right. Good afternoon and good morning, depends on where you join us from today. Welcome to the another session of Megaport Live tech drop-in session. And yeah, today we're going to talk about something really special. First thing, what about this tech drop-in session? This is actually a very informal session, a tech chat hosted by our solution architect team every Friday from actually 3 different regions, North American, Europe, and APAC. And normally we just talk about some hot topics we received from the customer or questions we've been asked frequently from the customers. And also some news from Megaport Inside. I'll be introducing a little bit about myself today, and then today's topic is about Telstra TPM migration. I'll come back to that later. If we have time, we're gonna do some demo on the Megaport portal and also some Q&As if there's any questions about the topics or broadly anything about Megaport. So about myself, my name is Morgan Wang, and I am a solution architect of Megaport based in Melbourne here. So I am supporting our customers from Victoria, Tasmania, and New Zealand. Also work with partners as well regarding Megaport solution and the product related questions and topics. You can find my contact details here on the page. Send me an email if you think you need anything or anything I can help with. Welcome to connect me on LinkedIn. Here's my LinkedIn address as well. So before diving into today's topic, I might just spend a little time to talk about Megaport in general. So Megaport is probably the largest network as a service provider globally. We currently in over 930 data centers globally. That means we have present in the data center and we can provide physical connectivity to our customers and the partners in those data centers. And we also already interconnected with public cloud providers. I think that's over 100 public cloud providers and service providers, and over 280 on-ramp locations. And the aim of Megaport is to provide very cost-effective services, which is flexible, scalable, and on-demand capacity. And also we have this global ecosystem where not only the customers can consume Megaport services, they can actually interconnect with other Megaport customers or partners within or based on Megaport Fabric. Sorry. In regard the connectivity we provide to the customers, apparently Megaport started, as the name suggested, Megaport started from physical ports in data centers. So very typical or basic connectivity models include data center to data center. If you have a port in data center A and a port in data center B, you can easily interconnect them with a virtual cross connection. And also with the same port in the data center, you can actually drag the connection from data center to public cloud service providers. One of the pretty new product Megaport released was Megaport Internet. So not only you can connect into a public cloud provider, you can also order a Megaport Internet to your existing port in the data center and use that as your either primary or backup or even auto-band management internet circuit, which can be provisioned really quickly in 60 seconds and really cost effective. Also, you have the flexibility to adjust the bandwidth up and down if required. Also, as Megaport is currently in over 930 data centers globally, customer can leverage Megaport Fabric to build this global connectivity, global backbone, interconnect multiple regions together and form a global WAN. We call that a global WAN scenario where customer can purchase from Megaport. But apparently, a lot of customers don't have data center footprint, or in the long-term business strategy or technical strategy, they want to move out from the physical data center to go completely cloud or hybrid, probably cloud services plus data center services, not only in data center. And in that case, we actually have some other connectivity models. It's more related to virtual access services. But virtual access services, um, instead of a physical port in data center, customer can actually order a Megaport cloud router. In this diagram, this is the blue round icon, or Megaport virtual edge, which is the red one here. And these two different flavors of virtual appliance actually is hosted on the Megaport platform, where the cloud router is a simple routing instance. And the MVE, the virtual edge, is based on the same platform, but open up to the customer to bring your own virtual appliance, which suit your network design and structure. For example, the popular Windows we support on the MVE platform is Cisco, Meraki, VeloCloud, Fortinet, Palo Alto, things like that, and more to come. And with that virtual access services, you can actually interconnect public cloud services without having to route traffic into any data center or any physical router. And of course, if you still have data center footprint, you can interconnect your multi-cloud services into your data center. So the cloud-to-cloud traffic can stay on the virtual access services, but the cloud-to data center services can still pass on to the data center. And also, as MVE provides more flexibility to the customer can use that as a router, a firewall, or SD-WAN edge device. You can actually turn that MVE into a security edge, which plug in a Megaport internet service, and use that as your internet breakout point for your data center or for the MPLS network behind the data center. Yeah, that's probably a more like advanced use cases of Megaport services. But and come to the topic, why do we want to talk about the TPM migration today? What about the TPM and the Megaport? So it comes down to Telstra's product. The TPM came from the name Telstra Programmable Network, which is a Telstra flavor of SDN network, software-defined network as a service, similar concept. And the TPN actually provides a very similar capability compared with Megaport. Of course, some areas Megaport is probably stronger in terms of data center footprint, in terms of global reach. Some areas TPN probably comes in stronger, and this picture I just borrowed from TPN that it actually states the strong points of TPN products predominantly compared with more legacy telco services. And you can see that it's pretty good product. The only thing I want to call out is probably just as TPN is built by Telstra, predominantly it's being consumed by Telstra MPLS network customers because it has a native integration with Telstra MPLS network. So the MPLS network customer will be really easy to consume TPN services. And I have here actually open up a TPN portal. So if you're interested, you can jump into the portal and have a look around the capability, the benefits, and even the pricing and some typical use case. So the question now is, why is this Megaport Tech Drop-in session talk about TPN rather than Megaport services? It is because due to the product strategy of Telstra, um, Telstra is actually exiting TPM product, and Telstra put out an announcement about the exit plan. So basically, from July 2025, which is less than 4 months later, um, TPM will not accept a new service order. Um, uh, no longer accept a new service order or recontract. And from 2026 January, that's probably roughly 10 months from now, Telstra will terminate the whole TPN platform. So all the customers already or currently using TPN services, um, they will be uh, suggested to find a alternative solution or product to replace their current TPN services. And um, now it's not from Megaport. Telstra team and Megaport are actually working together now to identify TPN customers, to work out what is the potential impact to TPN customers, and what is the potential replacement solution for those existing TPN solutions in place, and what we can do together to help customer migrate to a different solution instead of TPing seamlessly and smoothly without introduce impacts to their services. So that's the reason um, I want to talk more about some typical TPing use case or scenarios, and in comparison, how Megaport can help certain customer to transition from TPing to Megaport solution. And after this session, if you have any questions about your TPN service or your migration roadmap, or any particular question about the product itself, feel free to reach out your Telstra representative or Megaport representative. We can come together and have a discussion and work out what's the best outcome and what's the best solution we can provide. And come back to the deck. So what are those three uh, typical use case of a TPM product? If you notice that on the TPM website, they actually posted some typical use cases. And the first one probably just use TPM as a secure internet access. As I mentioned, because TPM natively integrated with MPLS network. So it is easier for the customer to enable a virtual network function, which normally can be a firewall virtual appliance, here, the virtual firewall, and use that as your probably uh, internet breakout for the whole MPLS network, and plugged in a Telstra internet service into that firewall. So the whole MPLS network can use that TPN as a headend to break out to the internet. And if you happen to use TPN as a secure internet access, and need to find a replacement solution for that, Megaport can actually do exactly the same thing, if not even probably better. We can actually enable, as I mentioned, MVE platform, which can be loaded with a virtual firewall appliance, Palo Alto, Fortinet, Cisco, and you can order a Megaport internet service and have that plugged into your MVE. And once MVE is connected to the internet, then you can lead that MVE to your Telstra MPLS network through a port or through the existing LAN side of the existing sites. We'll probably come down to that interconnection a little bit later. Another very typical scenario of a TPN is using Telstra Cloud Router to interconnect multiple public cloud providers or single public cloud provider to your MPLS network. This is actually leverage the virtual network function to interconnect existing MPLS to a on-ramp location of a public cloud service provider. And this is exactly what Megaport can help with customer as well. For example, if the customer just need a simple routing function between the public cloud and the MPLS network, they can enable a Megaport cloud router to interconnect multiple public cloud providers into the either a port or directly into the MPLS network. Or otherwise, if customer require advanced security rules to be applied to the interconnection, they can actually enable a MVE with a firewall virtual appliance loaded to interconnect the public cloud and MPLS network. The third typical scenario of TPN is data center interconnection. This is probably a more simplified solution because it doesn't require the integration between the MPLS network and the TPN network. So to the customer who are using TPN for data center interconnection, it's actually even easier because there's no component of interconnect your Megaport service to Telstra MPLS network. It's more about ordering ports in any of the data centers you want to interconnect and just to provision a virtual cross connection between them. So you have the data centers interconnected together. Now come to the component I've mentioned a couple of times already. Once we have this Megaport, even either a MCR or MVE provisioned and have internet service or public cloud service connected, how do we then lead this connectivity into the existing Telstra MPLS network? How can we join two networks together between Telstra and Megaport? We actually provided some really specific scenario description. You can do that through a one connection, pretty much order a Telstra business IP service and plug into your Megaport port in any of the data center we have enabled, and use that use that Megaport fabric as a hub site of your MPLS network to break out to the internet or interconnect to public cloud service provider. There are multiple flavors in terms of how do you want to design your high availability. You can provision them into multiple data centers or multiple availability zones in same data center. Another method is if you already have a rack or footprint in any particular data center that's Megaport already enabled, you can actually order some service from Megaport and order a port and plug the port into the LAN set of your existing data center site. So that means your existing data center site becomes the hub and then interconnect you MPLS network to the Megaport fabric. So this is probably easier because you don't need any additional carrier services. You just need order a port and plug in. Yeah. The third one probably more like a future facing or for the customer who is already on SD-WAN or who is planning to migrate networks onto the SD-WAN's technology. As I mentioned, the MV can be enabled as a SD-WAN edge device. We support multiple flavors like a VeloCloud, like a Meraki, Cisco, Fortinet, Palo Alto. If you're already a SD-WAN customer of this different solutions, you can actually order a MVE and turn that into a SD-WAN edge and join that SD-WAN edge to your existing overlay network. So seamlessly, you have these two physical networks joined together through the virtual overlay layer. And there's no any like a physical port or physical cross connection required in this case to interconnect two networks. Yeah, if you're interested in the details of how to use or leverage Megaport for your internet or public cloud connectivity to replace TPN solution, or if you just to try to understand if I'm getting onto the Megaport fabric, how do I then interconnect my Megaport to my existing Telstra MPLS network? Please reach out to your Telstra representative or Megaport representative, and we're more than happy to have a discussion and provide more details. Yeah, I think we still have some time. I'll probably just jump into the portal as usual, just to do some demo. And in this case, I'll probably focus on the most complex scenario, just introduced um, about connecting public cloud services into your MPLS network. And in this case, I have a cloud router already created just to save some time. And the cloud router is based in Melbourne, as where I am. I'll just go ahead and create a connection towards multiple public cloud providers. Let's start with AWS, probably the most popular one. And in order to connect to AWS, the first thing is I need to pick a location, which in this case, I'll pick the same city, Melbourne, as my direct connect location. And I'll give that connection a meaningful name, test Melbourne MCR to AWS hosted connection. Keep the bandwidth minimum. I don't need to commit any terms. I don't need to input any of the layer 3 information now. I'll just try to provision the virtual connection now. What I need to do, probably the only extra information is my AWS account number. I'll paste that account number into the order request at a VXC. Have my configuration added to the side panel. I'll review my order, verify that everything looks fine. I'm happy with that. Just click order. And that request will go into AWS. We will be able to see that momentarily from the AWS console. The other thing I want to try is probably just interconnect to Google Cloud from the same MCR, same cloud router. So I have already created a cloud router, and I have created two VLAN attachment from the cloud router. Now I've just grabbed the pairing key from the first VLAN attachment. And it is a little bit different from the AWS because you can initiate the connection request from Megaport portal for AWS direct connection. But for Google Cloud and Azure later, you need to create this pairing key from the cloud console before you actually jump into Megaport portal. I have my key ready now, just to verify if the key works. Yeah, with that key, I have apparently 5 choices. I have Melbourne, Blue, and Sydney, Brisbane, and another Sydney. Given I'm in Melbourne, I'll probably pick another Melbourne location, M2 Blue Zone. Keeps the bandwidth minimum again. That's the order. Okay, I have provisioned another public cloud connectivity. Now, since I have created this VLAN attachment with some redundancy built in, so I have a VLAN attachment B actually um, for protection. I'll just grab that and go into the portal again, see what if I use another key I just created for the Google Cloud connection. You notice I still have 5 options, but in Melbourne now I have the choice to pick a peering location within the red zone. So that provides the redundancy in terms of data center hardware. And I can order another one. But apparently, in the real world, normally we would order these redundancy connections on a different piece of appliance, a different, for example, a different MCR or different location um, to keep things separate. But now it's just for demo, so I'll order everything on the same MCR. Melbourne MCR to GCP B. Order that. Oh man, Azure being logged out. Let me jump into Azure quickly. So that's the third thing I want to give it a go today, which is interconnect to my express route in my Azure region. I have created 2 express route circuits already, which is follow the Microsoft suggestion maximum resiliency. I'll pick the Melbourne one. This is for the same Australia Southeast region, but peering location is Melbourne. I'll grab the service key from Azure and try to create that. Do you notice with this Melbourne peering location, I have 2 choices in Melbourne. So I can pick any one of them, and I can actually create a secondary peering within the same express route. If I go back to Azure and check on my Sydney peering location setup, it's the same Southeast region, but the peering location is Sydney. I'll grab the key and give it a go, see what happens. So I have choices from Sydney, which is primary and secondary in different diversity zones, and I can actually build this express route into my MCR as well. And I probably won't build that given the time, but what I need to do now is just assuming I am a existing data center, next DC data center customer. I'm using NextDC M1 for my MPRS interconnection, DC port. I'll try to order a port from the DC and easily I can connect that port into my MCR. That's my Melbourne MCR. So you notice within 10 minutes, I have created the interconnection to Google. I have created the interconnection to AWS. I dropped Azure because of the timing. And let me check on the AWS. I have received the connection request already on my AWS console. So the only last thing I need to do is actually order a cross connection from my port, physical port in NextCC M1 into either my rack or into Telstra rack, then I can consume Megaport services directly from Telstra MPLS network. So that's pretty much everything we want to cover today. And if you have any questions, or if you're just interested in how things can work, or any other details, or if you have another use case you want to test, please reach out and please let us know. More than happy to help. Yes. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.